How did I come into filmmaking? You know, I think like most people, it starts where you just love movies. I grew up a big fan of all kinds of movies. And, you know, I think specifically when I was very young, I was 12 years old when I saw Do the Right Thing. And I was really just moved by that kind of filmmaking. And I started to think of films as being able to do something besides just entertain audiences. And so, you know, from there, just messing around on a video camera and you know, trying to have fun and inspire and provoke people a little bit.
So is that what you aim to do with your films, inspire and provoke?
Yeah, I think if you can move somebody and provoke them to think and feel things that they don't ordinarily think and feel, I think that's why I go to the movies, and to feel these rich, complex types of emotions. And you know, if you can come out of a theater feeling exhilarated, then I think that's a good thing.
And what does it make you feel exhilarated?
What are those movies?
Yeah.
There's lots of them. There's lots of them. I think American films from the 70s are particularly just really fantastic, dealing with incredibly complicated characters, flawed people, human beings, not heroes, but like anti-heroes. And Scorsese's films and Altman's films, Hal Ashby. These are all terrific filmmakers.
How did you come up with the story for Half Nelson?
Well, I think that you know, it came from the desire to want to tell a story that I wanted to see. Anna and I, my partner Anna Bowden, we thought, you know, what would be a great movie that we would want to see that we feel is not available for audiences out there. A film that has characters talking about the world, talking about politics, talking about radical politics, and people who aren't perfect, people who have rough edges, and you know, again, that's what excites us as audience members.
And how did you come up with the actual story? Did you write it, or did you, because you made it short before?
Mm-hmm. We wrote the feature first.
Okay.
We wrote Half Nelson 4 or 5 years ago, and we didn't know who to give it to. We didn't have an agent. We didn't know what to do with the script that we wanted to make. So we had a video camera, and we made a short film version of it. And when we were casting that, we found Sharika Epps, who plays Dre in Half Nelson, and she also played her in the short film version. And that got into Sundance in 2004, and it won the short film prize, and it got us an agent, and it started to open up doors for us that didn't exist before.
A story can take several directions, obviously, but it never takes the obvious direction. And that is such a relief.
Mm-hmm.
Did that just happen, or did you aim to make?
You know, sometimes it just happened. Sometimes it just comes out of writing a scene. For instance, the scene where Ryan confronts Anthony's character in the street outside his house, and he wants him to stay away from Dre. You know, that scene just kind of came out very easily. That's the draft of that scene is probably the same as it was 5 years ago. Everything else in the script has changed and evolved over the time, but that scene just came out, and the way it ends is a surprise. And so that was very organic. But then there were other times, for instance, there's a sequence with Mr. Dunn spends time with his family towards the end of the film. And I think that was a little bit more of a intentional effort to try to steer away from the cliches that the story could go in, you know, the direction it could go in, where you start to have the moment where you explain, ta-da, you know, this is the reason why this character is the way he is. And we didn't want to have that moment, but we wanted to have a more of a sequence that gives you little pieces to the puzzle of his life.
Cool. And you've done some documentaries as well, or?
Yeah, you know, some short docs, and we made Anna and I made a movie in Cuba on Cuban hip hop, and it was pretty much just the two of us, and didn't really know what we were doing. Still don't really know what we're doing, but we have more people to help us.
So how is that? I read somewhere that you, it was a big change, just working you two and then having a crew and lots of people around you.
Yeah, at first it's a difficult thing because you're used to controlling everything yourself, you know, just Anna and I. And but actually, when you start to realize how much of a luxury it is to have other people who are good at their jobs do those jobs and feel secure that they're going to get done in a way that's better than you could ever do it yourself, then it's fantastic, because that's really, like, filmmaking is not just one person making a movie. You know, it takes all kinds of people working together, and any number of things can go wrong in the process. And we got very lucky that we had a lot of talented people, from the actors and the crew right down the board, and it was really fun to work with a group of people.
And how did you find Ryan Gosling?
Ryan Gosling is terrific. I mean, he was a big surprise. I don't think it's a surprise that he's a good actor. We knew that, but I think what was great about working with him and what makes him such a good actor is how spontaneous and full of surprises he is. Things that aren't necessarily in the script that he'll bring to it. And it's not a word, it's not a line that he'll say. It's a physicality. It's some kind of movement that he'll do. It's always, from take to take, it's always different, and it's always a fun experience to see what he's going to do next.
I haven't seen the short film, but is his character a big difference?
Yeah, the short film just deals with Dre's character. I mean, that's the only way we could make it work as a short, because he's way too complicated to deal with. So the short just deals with a girl discovering her teacher's secret and what she does with that information, how she interacts with her family after she learns the secret. But he's more of a mystery. You don't spend any time with him at all, really, outside of her life.
In another interview you said, I think it was in the Wire or something, if you got $10 million, you sign it on film stock, but also music rights. But you seem to have worked quite well with the music. Yeah. Even here.
Uh-huh.
Very carefully chosen.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, we, Broken Social Scene, we were fans of, and their music had a very similar emotional chord that we thought that the movie should have. And we wrote certain scenes to their music, and we played it on set for the actors to listen to, so they could kind of get into the spirit of the scene. And we cut the film to their music, and eventually we thought, you know, it's probably a good idea to ask for their permission. Yeah. I think that's what you're supposed to do when you use somebody's music. But we were very lucky that they liked the film a lot. We went up to Toronto, we showed the band the music, and they liked the movie. So if they didn't, we wouldn't have their music in it, because we certainly didn't pay them much.
But that's very interesting. So you can say that you had the music from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. Did you have any other music that inspired you?
You know, I love all the music in the movie. We have a Billy Bragg song that I really love, and there's a song from the '70s called "Can't You See," Marshall Tucker Band. It's a great song, but that was originally written as a Tom Petty song, which we couldn't afford. But our music supervisor, suggested that song, and I think it's even better. So sometimes, again, that's why it's great to have people that know what they're doing around you, can suggest things, and you can take the good ideas and leave the bad ones.
What's up next?
We're writing a bunch of things. We're adapting a book for Paramount, and we're writing an immigrant baseball movie that's partly set in the Dominican Republic.